in the past 20-25 years, meeting rooms role have been changing all along, and I think we show here what happened in 2019 and after. But I think it's funny to remember when I started working 25 almost years ago, meeting rooms were really different, and having a meeting was a kind of a very boring task to all the participants, who would either take notes or put them in the bin at the end of the meeting. And it was a really an engaging way of running business. Then I think all along the last 20 years, digitalization and digital devices made really the difference, and the engagement in meeting was really something new compared to what it was in the past. So in 2019, we can see there was a lot of talks and a lot of growth in digital device and digital annotation coming into meetings. Then COVID hit, as we know, and everything changed really. Everyone was now kind of forced to work from home and use a laptop instead of a big AV kit. So everyone was working from home. Someone liked it, someone less so. But then slowly we went back to the office, so we needed to redesign the meetings area, because software like Teams, Microsoft Teams, Zoom and Google Meet were becoming the new norm for running meeting. And the requirements for the AV kit in a meeting room really became something completely new to what it was in the past. And now, what are we seeing? I think most of us are really reluctant to coming back full time to the office, and companies like Epson definitely are redesigning and reassessing the office space requirements. You can see only 25% compared to 75% of the company in the past are now fully office based. So there is a full needs of redesigning meetings area, not anymore only meeting rooms, because again, when people come back into the office, there's a lot of needs of collaborative space, and a meeting room is not the only space that you use to run your meetings or your interactive collaborative meetings. And I think this became a new requirements for Epson as an AV provider. And what we're going to discuss today is really what we brought to the market in order to reply and answer to these new needs in the modern meeting space. And you will see we are trying to cater with a solution for small meeting rooms, where everyone really can join with people remotely and engage with content. We will be focusing today in what we call the hybrid boardroom, and we will see how our solutions are relevant there, together with Microsoft Front Row and Team Rooms. And the flexibility of our solution will of course be relevant for bigger meeting space and multi-purpose interactive space. So hopefully today we'll give everyone a rapid view on what we're bringing to the market and how hopefully good this felt to be for the new meeting spaces.
I think it's an opportunity to start thinking about room design specifically for the hybrid meeting. Historically, we look at, and traditional MTR spaces as well, we look at meeting rooms which have got the traditional rectangular table. People sit across from each other, and generally there's a screen at one end of the table. So to engage with your audience, everybody turns to the screen and then back again to each other. So when there's discussion in the room, it's very exclusive really to the remote participant. Signature, I think, gives that opportunity to now really make those hybrid meetings inclusive. So we're now starting to think about the layout of the room, the furniture we use in the room, the positioning of the technology in the room, to ensure that the remote participants really are engaged and inclusive in that meeting experience. We all know that around around a table and trying to pick up and trying to see everybody all at the same time, which you can do in a room, visualize and see reactions and nuances to reactions and comment. You can't necessarily do that and if you're looking from the outside in, if you like, from a camera that's mounted maybe too high above the screen on the wall, or maybe there's only one camera and looking it down a rectangular table. It's very difficult to do. From that perspective, I think also what Signature allows us to do, using the technology that Microsoft and the developments in the software that Microsoft have developed, we can really now start to use the AI technology that's in a lot of the hardware as well. So whether that's camera technology, being able to do its own internal editing, things like the Huddley Crew, for example, where you've got a multiple camera setup. QSC have a very similar solution as well, where it's using technology to move around the room and keep engaged with many faces around the room. And so the remote participant, again, is feeling inclusive. So we're starting to use that technology, the AI technology, a lot more. And a Signature room allows you to do that.
In a Teams room, you need a display that's large enough to show both content and participants as large and clearly as possible. And a projector is an ideal way of doing that. It's cost effective, it's environmentally friendly, and of course, compared to having two flat panels next to each other, there's no bezel down the middle either. So it's the easiest way to create that large, and also a large display, but also a 21:9 display as well, which is what a lot of the video conferencing solutions prefer.
I think when we look back, 15, 20 years ago, as Simone was saying, when we were setting these rooms up, these were H323, IP address to IP address, and only the Times Top 100 would be able to afford a real presence room that was 150 to 250,000 pounds. The evolution of Teams has now made the meeting room more accessible to everybody. A small meeting room can cost you £4,000 to £5,000 to set up. A room like this, a Signature room, is a fraction of the cost of what a real presence room would have been from some of the competitors. You're talking maybe 10% of the cost to actually set up something like this. And as Aiden said, with the AI that's involved in that and the ability to be able to people count, to tell people whether there's too many people in the room, has just moved this on massively. 20 odd years ago, people were very camera shy. The pandemic was a bad thing, but it's enabled it. It's forced everybody into video communications. People of my age, probably weren't too much happy, or weren't very happy about being on video. But there's more and more millennials, zennials joining now that are used to using video. They're used to using their mobile phone. They're used to speaking to people as we're speaking to people today. So Teams has brought that to the front. And as I say, it is the fact that the solution is scalable. Previously it wasn't scalable. It was a room that was in a building that was just one room that was there for video conferencing with blue curtains behind you because there was white balance issues with cameras and so on. But now, with the evolution of Microsoft Teams, you can have not just the one room, you can have multiple rooms of multiple sizes. The small huddle room, the medium large, the medium room, the large room, the boardroom, the Signature room, the open event space, the Teams live event space, the town hall space. So Teams and Zoom and Google Meet have opened that up to everybody, and it's become. It's a more equitable feeling, the fact that we are actually talking face to face on the same level. So it's come on leaps and bounds in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's constantly evolving. There are new updates for Teams, for Zoom going out weekly. Copilot has just come out as well. Cortana was available to join your meetings just by the use of your voice. The Jabra Panicast that we're using today. That's evolving. It's got 3 cameras in it, but one of those cameras can actually be used as a whiteboard camera as well. So you can ingest a physical whiteboard into a meeting. So it's making things easier, more accessible to everybody, I feel.
as you know, we are like, I think, plus 35 years in projection business and screens. So that's quite a knowledge base. And our founder, Greg Jeffries, is, I believe, quite well known in the industry and has worked with Avixa in the standards committee and so on. So basically, we are, a knowledge-based organization. We like to see us as that, and that's where we base our marketing efforts. Also, we believe that the projector, the laser projectors from Epson, combined with our Supernova screen, we're taking that brand over from Nippon, DNP. I used to work there way back in the 90s, and we are continuing that screen now under the brand of VDL Supernova. And that's like an ambient light reduction facility on the screen. So the combination of a projection and our screen is by far superior for a certain market, not everywhere, not where you have the right, where the flat panel is the right solution or where the DV LED is the right solution, but exactly in the meeting rooms that we are discussing today, where we have a need for a screen from like 100-inch and upwards. This is where we see our sweet spot, and this is where we believe that as long as we educate people about this, they will select the solution. They will go for projection, and they will also go for the right screen for that, which we are happy to supply. So that's our strategy: education, and after that, some more information. And we're kicking that off with Epson now in the Netherlands. We are going to Amsterdam end of this week, and our strategy with Epson is to select some key dealers, potential key dealers, and invite them for a session. And our pitch there is to educate them a little bit and hopefully get them on and open their doors for more education. So we educate their salespeople in the USPs of this solution, and especially their technical support staff.
Overall, in terms of developments, we know working practices have changed for all of us, whether you're in the office or out the office remotely. In businesses today, especially for corporates, more than anything, they're rethinking the office design. Gone are the days where you're literally just having a meeting, just with people in the office. You are expected to have people joining in remotely. So the main flavors of takeaway points is obviously communication is high on the radar because you want to increase efficiency, but make sure that everybody has an equal understanding of what's being delivered or presented, so it's equal. Connectivity, ease of use, and then the most important part is, doesn't matter where you are in the world, collaboration. We have these meetings so that we can collaborate and communicate and actually be effective in what we're doing, so we can do our jobs efficiently, especially relating back to meeting times. Now, on average, a meeting is about 45 minutes to 1 hour. So when you're in those meeting rooms, you want to make sure that your technology, the connectivity, the people that are joining the meeting feel included and they're feeling immersive in terms of having that one experience that everybody is part of that meeting, and they're also valuable stakeholders in that as well. So that is really important. Not only that, these days as well, a lot of people are looking at technology to be aesthetically pleasing in the offices, and that's where Epson projectors fit in. We have different types of installation methods available through our products, depending on the customer's room structure, the deployment of the device in the room as well. So lots and lots of flexibility. I know earlier on Aiden and Paul talked about obviously how meeting rooms have evolved, but the way the technology has evolved, that is also high on customers' radar as well, to make sure it's integrated, but it delivers that optimum purpose, not just around the conventional specs that we know today as well.
one of the things that's giving me a lot of pleasure, a lot of challenges as well, is working with Microsoft clients. Microsoft has really set the hair running in terms of the changes to the needs of the meeting spaces. The point now about the changes to hybrid meetings is that once upon a time you would think of the content as being synonymous with the display size. We'd be showing an Excel sheet, a PowerPoint presentation or something. But now, of course, we've got it's effectively a picture-in-picture thing where we've got multiple content windows on the same screen at the same time. And what that means in practice is it means a whole step change in the size required for displays. And of course, at the moment, technology changes, but at the moment, the only feasible way of doing that, to have the kind of sizes that are needed, is to use projection, but specifically ALR, ambient light rejecting laser technology. And it's that delivers the promise, if you like, that the Microsoft room designs poses. But the Hive are really, shows a number of really wonderful room designs. But out in the real world, working with Epson, what we're trying to do is to make sure that works actually in the real world. And what that means is offices with good strong lighting, with natural lighting coming from the windows and so forth. So it's a real kind of practical issue of working with Microsoft and working to support them with Epson to come up with these solutions to make it much easier for people to actually fulfill the promise that these exciting spaces offers.
Obviously, people have got a lot of real estate of existing spaces that they're now trying to bring and make hybrid spaces. And a lot of them aren't necessarily 100% built for that purpose. So if we have acoustical issues within spaces, we'll have lighting issues in spaces. Unless they've got the budget to do a full refurb within the space and change everything, that's furniture, lighting, and it becomes quite a difficult room to sort of get right. And it's less important, it's less for the people in the room that you're trying to make the improvements for, it's for the people who are remote. So, it's a lot of change that you need to sort of be aware of, and a lot of difficult, and make a better experience for all the remote participants within the room. So for me, the biggest challenges we have. It's great if we can get people to spend some money on some acoustical treatments in the room, or like I said, or change the furniture in the room to better suit the layouts. It might be a really long room. You might be struggling with screen sizes in the rooms. There's lots of things that are presented to us that we have to try and overcome. And that's the most difficult part for me.
We look at what the world looked like prior to and during the pandemic. A lot of it, from a sales perspective, from an Epson sales perspective, was very much driven via face-to-face meetings to on-site demonstrations. During the pandemic, it was moving through to a form of video conferencing, Teams, Zoom, whatever it may be, doing demonstrations via that meet because we weren't able to go on site and actually be there to do the demonstrations firsthand. What I think it's now evolved into is utilizing the spaces as organizations can do the most, taken on board pretty much what's been covered off so far. But really looking at how they can maximize their space that they've got within their organization, as well as adapting to what is very much the new normal, which is agile working, where you have got individuals that will want to remotely dial into those meetings. I think Kiran had summed it up quite nicely by saying that those meetings are now condensed, which I think is a good thing. Many a meeting prior to the pandemic I've been in 2 hours plus, so I'm very welcome of the 45 to an hour long meeting now, but utilizing that space effectively to enable collaboration, having people at eye level so that they feel like they are in the room and can communicate effectively in that area. So I think it's a mixture of evolving what was the traditional meeting room to making it far more adaptive to this new way of working, and making sure that you've got the elements such as collaboration, communication, all of those bits covered off.
What we found is, you know, Microsoft Teams has become this great, almost default communication medium designed for meetings, but we can now look at other things, and we've had sort of deliver projects in the recent past where we've been able to, for example, integrate a Teams system into a medical simulation suite. So all of a sudden we can take video and audio from what is going on in that space, and then we can stream that out to other spaces so that subject matter experts can view remotely, can have their input into the simulation that's occurring, and also it can then, the session can be recorded and played back for debrief purposes. So that's a good example, and because the infrastructure is already there within the health authorities, it basically means that a lot of the cost of that has been pre-done, so it makes it a real value for money option. The other one is sort of has been used in manufacturing industry, where we've had sort of observation systems. So you might get a manufacturer who is bringing in consumers into a space and they're filming them using those companies' products. And again, because they're able to record video and audio and view it within the centre, very often, because these manufacturing companies very often are multinationals, you will get other sort of product managers in other countries that are interested in what's happening in those spaces. So again, using Teams to be able to integrate with those systems has been a real advantage for those clients.
Well, Epson manufacture great projectors, but we rely on trusted systems integrators like PureAV to create the complete solution. With their specialist knowledge, they can provide an optimized package based on the best equipment for the environment. You know, that the room that you're in there it's a combination of the cameras, the microphones, lighting. It's the complete package, and you know, it's when you see the complete room, that's what sets everything apart. You know, projection on its own is nothing, and without the sound, the lighting, everything else, you know, we haven't got a complete solution for the end user. So it's a trust. You know, we work very early on with the sales team, but then that quickly goes through into sort of the technical and the design teams as well. So it's that complete package, Charlie. You know, it's a trusted partnership, and that partnership has been one that's been built on over many years. So yeah, it's a close-knit team that we work with, and hopefully the end result is sort of the room, you know, the room you're in there.